Good morning, everyone. This is Cassie Stumo. I am the marketing specialist here at EAC. We'll start off today with an introduction of EAC, and then Anthony Garner from PTC will be presenting to us on how to store, manage, and control product data beyond your engineering team. Everyone will get a recording of the session pending any technical difficulties. Please feel free to ask questions along the way, and we'll answer them after the presentation. All right, so at EAC, our mission is to transform the way companies design, manufacture, connect to, and service their products. We're not only a value-added reseller for PTC, but we are the #1 solutions provider for PTC in the country with experts in 22 areas of product development. We're located all over the US with our headquarters in Minneapolis. We offer our customers everything they need for product development, such as CRIO CAD software for product design, service lifecycle management software for managing service documentation, and software that helps you manage your product data, such as Windchill, ThingWorx Navigate, and our customizable EAC productivity apps. And you can move to the next slide, Anthony. We implement the Internet of Things and augmented reality into business strategies to jumpstart initiatives around digital transformation and connecting all things in your company. We assist with design and engineering projects like FEA, simulation, reverse engineering, and proof of concepts for our customers. And we offer webinars and PTC certified training courses for continuous learning. We're also a commercial reseller for Form Labs, offering their latest products in additive manufacturing. The Form 3 is now available with packages starting at $34.99. So please keep us in mind. We have solutions to help your organization save time and money throughout the product development process. So thank you for taking that time to listen to who we are. I'll now hand it over to Anthony so he can get started.
Okay, so hello everyone. My name is Anthony Garner. I am a virtual application engineer here over at PTC's Virtual Center of Excellence. And what I'm going to be going through with you today is Windchill, specifically an overview of Windchill PDMLink, which is kind of the baseline for Windchill for what you expand outwards for. So today I'm going to go over a brief PowerPoint, and then I'm going to show you a full-on demonstration of the tool before I pass it back over to Cassie at the very end. So one of the big things of Windchill is we are trying to implement as much of the PLM solutions under one umbrella as much as we can to be ultimately the best as far as that's concerned. So everything you currently see in that box, the ECAD data management, workflow, document management, those are all things that are inherently native to Windchill that you have the access to do under Windchill itself. And everything you see in blue, that's ultimately something that's extensible to Windchill via plugin interactions with those ideas. So for engineering calculations, requirements management, supplier management, risk and reliability, those are all extensible out from your baseline of Windchill. And everything you see in gray are ultimately things that aren't offered under Windchill as of right now. So Windchill PLM software is, the idea is to optimize the product lifecycle by completely defining the digital product. So every single aspect of your object, whether that's CAD data, whether that's actual documentation, all of that's going to be coming into Windchill as one single source of truth. And with that one single source of truth, you have the ability to standardize and or automate your product lifecycle business process using that fundamental digital information. And finally, it is a proven architecture for today's heterogeneous environment, whether you're working mainly just from an internal standpoint or you're extending that out to external capacities. Okay, so let's move on to our demonstration of the tool. So let me just drag this down. So here we are looking at the general splash screen for Windchill. I'm currently logged in as Pat the Product Manager. Pat the Product Manager is more or less a super user within our system. He has access to more than necessarily a run-of-the-mill user would have access to. Right here, we can see I have my updates, which is telling me any pertinent information to my day-to-day job, along with my tasks or ultimately the things that are assigned to me to do on a day-to-day basis. If I wanted to, I can extend what I'm seeing in my general splash page to my checked out work, which is checking out to content we'll go a little bit more into, but essentially anything that's checked out to me is something only I can be working on. Along with any packages that I'm sending out, any workspaces, any subscriptions, I can add all of that information in as I need to for whatever my day-to-day requirements are. Okay, let me just unselect all those. And if I right click on any of these items, the actual actions that are going to come up under that drop down menu are going to be context specific to whatever I'm selecting. So something I select in my updates here will have a different readout to something I'm looking at in my task. Okay, so if we move on to here for our recently accessed, this is where I can look at any of the objects that I've taking the time to look up in the last, say, week or 2 weeks or so. As you can see, we have a couple items here, so it makes it really easy to quickly navigate to these objects if you need to be working on them. Oops, sorry about that, didn't mean to do that. Come back home. And under here for our quick links is where you're gonna have access to various tools that are useful to have access to in very immediacy. For example, the Windchill Help Center. And this is a very, very useful tool for when you're starting to learn Windchill. This is something I made extensive use of when I started to actually get into this. Okay, and the final thing I'm going to talk to you about on our splash screen is our search tab here. So from here, I can search up any of our components if I need to, and I can also rarefy the search by only looking at certain types. If I'm only looking for parts, documents, change requests, problem reports, all of that information I can easily search by here to try to limit my search down. So for right now, I'm going to search for a specific product within it by a piece of the product number. And what I'm going to use, I'm going to use a wildcard before the actual product number, which is essentially saying, I don't care the numbers that are coming before that product number. I only care that they're ending in these 4 digits. I could also use a wildcard in the back of this number if I only cared about what numbers start this product number as opposed to which ones begin it. So let's go ahead and search for that product right here. And as we can see, we've gotten some results. So I'm just going to pen this and even it out so everything's easier to see. And as we can see, those same capacities I have to refine my search here, I have further capacity to do that right here within my search window. So if I wanted to limit it via either the CAD document or the part, the specific product context that we're looking in, when it was created and when it was last modified, within Windchill Search, I have the ability to refine it down to wherever I need to get to what I'm looking at very quickly. So here, if I hover over our icon here, this is where I'm going to get a visualization of that object within Windchill. So let me just, so this is what we refer to as our thumbnail navigator. So here I have a fully interrogatable object within Windchill. I can zoom in, zoom out, rotate back and forth. Everything I would need to do within, let's say, a CAD tool, say for actually editing it, I can do right here within Windchill. And these visualizations are pervasive throughout the entirety of Windchill. You'll be seeing them prop up over and over again. So here I'm currently looking at my related information because, of course, for any product, if you're looking at it from a product lifecycle standpoint, isn't simply defined by the CAD data. It's defined also by any sort of documents or any other information that you're using to help define that topic. And for that within Windchill, you have the ability to roll all that information up into what we refer to as WT parts, which is essentially a container or a bucket for all of the information that's going to be relating to that product, whether that be the document or the foundry information of what actually is going to be producing this. And if I go to our drop down here to our navigate thumbnails, we can see from our uses in our where used tab, these are essentially the rungs of the ladder that we're going to use to go up and down our product hierarchy, as it were. So from here, I can dive deeper down to the very bare nuts and bolts of this assembly, and I can easily go back if I wanted to. So my uses tab is going to take me further down to the very nuts and bolts of my product, whereas my where use is going to take me further up to my highest level. Okay. So just a little bit more about the search. We can go here to our saved history and our searches. And this is where I have essentially saved any searches that I'm going to come back to at a moment's notice. So if I wanted to search it by all changed objects, all dynamic documents, all part lists, I can simply come back here and search for that immediately. Take this, for example, where is it? So any and all parts with documents, I can simply very quickly come and search from here. And also from our save search, we also have any recent searches similar to what we were seeing in our splash page initially. So anything I search within the very recent future, I can come back and search for as easily as possible. And if we come to our advanced search features, this is where we're going to see more of that refinement to search more easily. So here I have some more part types to choose from if I wanted to search for them down to the nitty gritty, whether that be my customer experience, my public structure, my publication structure, all of these different types of objects within Windchill. I can simply check off and look for them. This is also where I can search via the product context that I've organized all my products under, along with any specified criteria. And from any of these specific ways that I'm looking for it, I can save that search for me to easily access later. And the final thing that I'll make note of is our classification explorer. And ultimately what a classification is, it's similar to a tagging system, essentially. If I tag a product as an electrical component or a mechanical component or an ECB board, I can basically search easier by that, by whatever I choose to tag an object as. Okay, so now that we've looked at our search window, which is probably one half of the easiest way that we're going to be searching through Windchill, we can go to our Browse tab. And what we're going to be looking at for today is our recent products here. So within Windchill, we have all of our objects organized via their product context. So here we have a Synergy car, we have a bus, we have various laptops. So everything within Windchill is organized under those specific product contexts. And if we search a little bit further here, this is where we can also see our document libraries, our actual projects that we actually made out for anyone who's going to be working on them, along with our problem reports and our change reports as necessary. And to our very far left, this is also another recently visited drop down, so we can easily access anything that we've looked at over the past recent amount of time. So what we're going to do here is we're just going to expand our Synergy car, and this is where we're going to see all of the objects that kind of flow in under to that specific project. So we have our details, our folders, our teams, our packages, all that information rolling right up here to that Synergy project. So the first thing we're going to look at are the folders information. And this is where we're going to be seeing all of the document information within it. It's going to be organized in essentially a folder hierarchy similar to what you would see in Windows Explorer. So here we have all of our design documents, all of our graphics information, all of our information structure, and it's all expandable down to its very base limits. So if I come here to our graphics, this is where I can see all of our graphical information that we're rolling up into our Synergy car. And to add any component is very easy. I can simply click on our add new folder, or if I just need to add one specific part or a new change request, all those options are available right here from me if I need to. And one also very, very important thing we can actually do is we can edit access controls and security labels directly here from those parts themselves. So if you want to define someone's access to a specific component so that only certain people can have access to it, you can do it either granularly directly to the product itself, or if you want to look at it from a higher perspective, you can do it by the folder or the product itself. Okay, and the last thing I'll show you on the folder page is the subscription ability. So a subscription is essentially a if this, then do that. So essentially, if any of these events occur to this document I'm currently looking at, whether it's a checked in from a project, if it's the access controls are edited, or if it's revised, I can select that. And then I can say, I, as Pat, the product manager, want to know immediately whenever that happens. And here I can define the actual message I'm going to receive whenever that happens. So it just provides another level of knowledge and knowability for everyone within the system to know anything they have a particular eye on. If anything happens to that, they get immediately notified. Okay, so if we come to our team page, this is where we can see any and everyone that has something to ultimately do with this project. So our reviewers, our publication managers, our authors, everyone we have are rolling up into this particular object as team members. And to add our team members, we don't need to tap IT on the shoulder in order to get them to add people as we need to. It's very simple. All we need to do is simply come here. Let me drag this right down and add any member that we wanted to. So we can simply say, search for Dave. So here we have Dave, the design engineer, and we can assign him any role that we see here. And ultimately, these roles have specific access controls. So a change admin does not have the same access as an illustrator or a member. And if we needed to, you see, we can add new roles to our team as we need to. So everything up here are out of the box roles that come inherently with Windchill. But if we wanted to, we can add one or multiple specific roles to the specific project or this specific product as we need to. And we have the ability to edit and amend those access controls as need to. Okay. And the last thing we can do here is we can configure our action for our roles. So here we can see everything that any one of a specific role can do within our product system. So as we can see, our author has the ability to create folders, but he doesn't have the ability to modify our team. And as you can see, some of these are hard checked, as in we can't check them off or check them on. And some of them do not have any access, and those are actually flowing down for how we have set the system up. We want our product manager to always be able to modify teams, and there's no reason as far as our business use case is concerned for him never to be allowed to do that. We always want our guests to be able to, or we never want our guests to be able to modify our team, and according to our business use case, there's never any reason to allow him to do that. Okay, so now we're going to exit out. And now we're just going to go to our details page. And this is where we're going to see all of our high level information for that specific product. So pretty much everything that we need to know, the name, the actual owner of our project and when it was created on, all of that rich information is available for us right here. And here we can see all the end items that are resulting from this specific product. So an end item is essentially a final sellable good. So from our details page, you can see every single final and sellable good to that specific synergy card that we're looking at. And along with that, we have all of our publication and information structures. So now what I'm going to show you is I'm going to show you CRIO View Lite. We're just going to drill down a little bit further into our front wheel assembly in order to take a better look at that. Okay, so here we can see those visualizations I was saying are pervasive throughout Windchill. This is just a bigger visualization that we have along with our structure page. And like I was showing you before in our thumbnail navigator, I can visually interrogate the zoom in, zoom out as I need to, everything short of actually authoring the CAD data itself. And this is fully CAD agnostic. No matter what CAD tool was made to build this, I have the ability to visualize that information within Windchill. So now I'm just going to dive a little bit deeper into this front wheel assembly right here. And as we can see here, within our structure, everything is version and state controlled, and that goes along with that checking in and checking out functionality I'll show you a little bit later. Essentially, when I check something out, then I work on it and I check it back in, the iteration of that version, that A.2, that A.5, will increase as necessary. And that also goes along if I make a revision as opposed to simply checking that back in, it will move to B.1 and then create essentially a side stream if necessary. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to open this in CRIO View just to show you what that looks like. And what CRIO View is, let me bring this down here. CRIO View is our lightweight CAD agnostic tool for visualization, representation, and annotation. So no matter what CAD tool generated this information I'm currently looking at, I have the ability to visually interrogate it similar to how we were looking at within those visualizations in Windchill itself. So not only can I rotate and then fully interrogate this out, but I can also create annotation sets. And those annotation sets will be saved against the object within Windchill itself, and it will roll up to those WT parts that we were talking about a little bit before. So let me just show you what that looks like real quick. So here we have our markup tool, and I'm just going to create a note with a leader. Okay. And here we're going to insert an attribute, and we're specifically going to insert an attribute from Windchill itself. So here we're going to insert the life cycle state of this specific tire within Windchill. So CRIO View is going to essentially look into Windchill, grab that information down from Windchill, and put that to this leader as necessary. So just going to grab our lifecycle state. We're going to insert the name and the value for that. We're going to hit OK. And here we can see we now are seeing that this current tire is in a work state as opposed to a release state. And now this is a annotation set that's going to be saved against this object within Windchill itself. So here we're just going to save that annotation set. We're going to call this life cycle. And here we can define if we're author, if our telephone number, or any sort of comments that we need to keep our bookkeeping up the case. So I'm just going to click OK. And now the annotation set is going to be saved off against our application where within Windchill for anyone who needs to be looking at that information. So what that really allows for is a collaboration across multiple departments, whether they have that CAD authoring tool or necessary, and allows them to essentially participate in design reviews and other processes that would usually require a CAD authoring tool to do. So next, what I'm going to show you is the structure for our tire itself, just a little bit deeper into that. So here we have that visualization. And currently all we are looking at for are the top level WT parts of that object. So like I was saying to you before, these gray gears, these WT parts are that central node of relatability for which you relate all the other information that relates to that product within Windchill. So we're currently just looking at the top level. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to select everything. And then I'm going to expand all of our levels. So here I can choose to expand by 1, 2, 4, all or n levels. We're going to expand by all levels. And this is where we can see all of the WT parts that are ultimately rolling up to that hierarchy or that higher up WT part itself. So now that we are looking at everything, I'm just going to select all again. And now, as opposed to showing just the WT parts, I'm going to be showing everything. So every document, every CAD document, every replacement part distribution target, everything that's rolling up to this object within Windchill, whether it's CAD information or not, you'll be able to see from here. So if we take a second to peruse through here, we can see we have some PRT files specifically for this, but if we look a little bit further down, we can see we have our documents as necessary. We also have various plant information, everything that ultimately relates and goes into describing this product for our ultimate life cycle, I can see from here. And as we can see here, they are all completely and utterly versioned and state controlled as necessary. Okay, so let's clean this up a little bit. Don't need to be looking at everything. So let's just go over these tabs here. So here we can have our attributes tab, which is that same rich level of information we were seeing in our details tab. We can also see any of our occurrences or classification that we're looking at for this specific object directly from within here. And just to show you what checking out looks like, if I wanted to say bring this and work on this separately, I would have to check out this object. And ultimately what that means is that only I can be working on this. So right now within our PDS system itself, that front wheel assembly, only I as Pat the product manager can be working on that right now. And until I check that back in, no one else can be working on that. So that was just for that. So now we're just going to check that back in. And we'll just put test here. Okay. And as we can see here that after I checked that back in, it went from that A2 version all the way up to that A.3 version. So that allowed me to iterate as I needed to without any sort of second steps or any sort of side steps in order to do that. It does that automatically when I check that information back in. And here, as I was showing you before, this is where we can see all of our information. So if I wanted to see all the information that's rolling up to the specific WT part, I can simply hit show all. Or if I wanted to see something very, very specific, I can just simply go down to here. And along with that, we also have our views, which is going to determine which of these specific columns we're going to be seeing within our structure tab itself. Just going a little bit more. Here, this is how we're going to determine our display, whether we want a 2-pane display or a 3-pane display, whatever actually works best for you. Go back to 2-pane because that's ultimately what works best for me. And here, this is where we can define our filters for our information for what's actually being displayed to us within the overall table itself and not just the columns. And finally, here we can actually generate a complete part list for the selected part if we wanted to. And that's ultimately viewable for us. And if we wanted to, we can generate a multi-level bill of material report as necessary. So I'm just going to do that. Click here, and here we have that fully built out bill of material as we necessary that we can export out as we see fit. And along with our exportation of that bill of material, we can also export our entire list as a CSV, HTML, or PDF, anything that we wanted to. So if we wanted to, we could export this as a XLS file, and we could basically do whatever we need to within Excel as we want to. And we could export as an importable spreadsheet in order to bring that information back into Windchill itself. So also our tools that we have here from our structure, we can compare our part structure essentially side by side, board to board with each other. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to look up a baseline version for our doc right here. Oops. Yeah, we'll do A1 design. So here we're comparing two different versions of that same design, the A1 design to the A3 design. So anything that's highlighting in blue, it's going to show a difference that Windchill has recognized between the two versions. And if we come to our middle column here, this is where we can get a little bit more information. So between these two, it's a child difference, as in something within the actual product hierarchy itself is ultimately different. And if we come here, we can see, we can view that attribute difference directly as we need to. And if we come down here, we can compare them via their attributes, also via any usages if they have different things that they're actually being ultimately used in. As long as we can view them, we can interrogate them visually to see if there's any actual like overarching differences between the two visualizations. So there's not really much difference here. Oh, actually there is a big difference. One of them has that breaking cab roll up, and the other one doesn't. Okay. So we're just going to move on to a couple of the other tabs. And one last thing here, this is where we can see any or all the documents that are actually rolling up to them in a very easy way. So from here, we can also see any of our objects that are actually related to this front wheel assembly. So anything that we have defined as being ultimately necessary, ultimately something that's required for this object is going to show up right here in our related objects. Here under our changes, this is where we're going to see all of our issues and variances, our change requests, all of our problem reports for this specific object. And of course, if you wanted to be looking at every problem report, we can simply come back here to our tab and view every single change request, change notice, all of that directly for all of our products within our system. And as we look to our history, this is where we can see any and every change that's currently happening for this project. So this specific object's gone from A1 to the A3. If you wanted to understand better what's going on to actually have that happen, we can easily interrogate that from here. We also have that timeline for anyone who can actually visually recognize that. And here we have our where used tab, and this is ultimately where we're going to designate where else this object is going to be used. So say, for example, we are a snowmobile company. We use kind of the same sort of ski assembly for all of our snowmobiles within our system. So every snowmobile assembly is going to be using this same subassembly. So from here, we can see what changing that same single subassembly is going to do to all the snowmobiles further down the line. And the final thing I'll show you very briefly is the AML and AVL information. This is where we can manage all of our improved manufacturing list and improved vendor list for all those objects that are being created outside of our system. So say if we don't necessarily make the rim of this tire and someone else makes the rim, this is where we're going to manage all of that information and how that's actually going to be flowing back into our product lifecycle system. So that is ultimately Windchill. It is a system to allow for the single source of truth for your entire of your product lifecycle, and not just as a CAD vault. So you'll be able to manage your entire products from the cradle to the grave and have a complete understanding and a complete digital traceability for all of your information. And now I'm going to move back to our PowerPoint. And for Cassie's, bring Cassie back on.
All right. I don't see any questions, but thank you, Anthony, for that presentation. I do want to mention that right now we have 10% off on all PLM packages through September. So if you're looking to find or compare PLM systems, reach out to us. I'll also send you the link that you need to find more information about the discount in the follow-up email I'll be sending out. So you can find our upcoming webinars on eacpds.com/events, or if you'd like to see any of our previous webinars to date, you can go out to our webinar replay library to watch them. Thanks again, Anthony, and thank you everyone who came on today. Have a great rest of your day.